Hello, and welcome back to Blood for Flowers by C.McNeel. That's me. So come with me now on a journey through time and space. Here we go. Chapter 13, Blood for Flowers. Now, when they had exhausted themselves of all of the energy and stamina, Thera and Viacles rested together, covered in sweat and the night dew, feeling as if they had just raced to Athens and back. Now, after a moment in each other's arms, catching their breath, the king bade Thera to come with him back to her tent so he may say goodnight. Here, Thera, clever as ever, spoke to the king, saying, "Now, if you will forgive me, O king, but your words were as stated. If I take you in your bed tonight, would I promise to take Vasha into me tomorrow?" "Yes, these are my words," Vi answered as they walked together down the path back to the encampment. "Now, you will agree the forest floor is not my bed." Thera smiled like a cat who had just swallowed a canary. "No, the forest floor is not your bed." "Well then, according to your word, you must still take me in my bed, according to the promise." She smiled, wanting another chance at his seed to take root in her womb. For Thera wanted desperately a daughter from this brave and noble king. Now King Vi laughed a little, and he could appreciate her cunning desire to be with him once more. "Come, let us hasten ourselves to your bed before dawn brings forth Apollo. For the night is still with us, and you and I have made an agreement." The two drew up an impatient energy from their great well of strength, hurrying back to the city of tents. Thera directed the king to her private tent as she remained outside for just a moment longer. This was to be sure all was quiet, save the sound of the satisfied, snoring men and women who lie sleeping with the women and virgins who were no longer virgins of Themyscira. Thera knew well the sense of extreme physical satisfaction, for she herself had taken many men into herself, and after what had happened last year, she could not be more delighted to have, if only for one night, the deep passion of the king. So Thera went in, closing up the slit in the tent, and there she was alone with King Viacles, who lay naked, reclining on her bed atop the crisp white linen sheets. Thera felt a chill run up and down the length of her spine as the little hairs on the back of her neck stood erect as she beheld this dark-eyed, bronze-skinned, naked angel, his skin glowing in the light of the oil lamps. There in her presence, Thera thought of the god Hercules. King Leonidas and Achilles had been brought to life in this perfect living man. So strong and powerful was Viacles, it was as if one of the ancient statues from the Acropolis had come to life. "Come to me now," King Viacles said as he himself became erect in her presence, and as Thera slipped off her dirty nightgown, she went over to the king, sitting herself upon him as he lay his head back on the bed. Thera took in many deep breaths, using her strong muscular thighs to move herself up and down as if she were riding in her saddle. The king was overwhelmed by the strength of her body, and he noted how his wife was so thin and frail. This made vigorous lovemaking difficult for such a powerfully enthralled man such as he. Okay. Now here, this exquisitely fit and beautiful foreign woman was bringing him to an ecstasy he could only have dreamed of. While he brought himself to bear inside her, Vi had sudden flashes of thoughts of Vasha with Thera, so more fuel to feed the angry spirit of jealousy was added to the fire which filled his heart and mind. Now you gotta make a plan and you gotta stick to it. So, ending up chapter 13. When they had their fill of one another, Thera and Viacles collapsed back down together in Thera's small bed, both completely satisfied with one another, both having displayed a great skill and deep capacity for the art of lovemaking, and they prided themselves on their talent for it. Now, after they caught their breath resting in each other's arms, Thera whispered to the king, who needed to get back to his wife in Sparta, "Stay with me for but a moment until I am asleep." King Viacles gave a smile as warm as his embrace. Kissing Thera on the forehead, then he said, "If only I could remain here forever. Now when I go, remember, no one must know what happened betwixt us. To do so would bring us both great shame, and you the punishment of your nation. Though we must never speak of this, Thera, I will keep these thoughts of you in my heart and mind forever. Yes, every word you speak is the truth." She sighed, feeling as tired as a war horse that had been out on the battlefield all day. These were the last words spoken between them this night. Safe, warm, and exhausted, Thera was brought to sleep quickly in the arms of the king. That was sweet. He did wait till she fell asleep before he left. Aww. Vi waited a moment longer, watching her sleep, feeling her naked body pressed close to his under the soft white sheet. He carefully moved away from Thera as not to disturb her rest. Then, Thera in the warm glow of the oil lamp, the king watched her sleeping, only wishing she was his bride, but alas, she was not. Now Viacles knew his true wife would have many questions for him, but he was the king of Sparta, and he would answer to no one. Okay, so that's end of chapter 13, yeah? And we're going to be going on to chapter 14. Now, I wrote this story like 10 years ago, and as I'm going back and reading it, it's kind of, again, with you for the first time for you guys, but for me, it's kind of like, I remember like, oh yeah, that was pretty funny. So I make little comments. Okay then, so that was chapter 13. Thank you for your time. I know it's very valuable. So please take care of yourself, because nobody else will. All right then. Back for chapter 14, I think. Yeah, bye.